So here we are, part 6. I didn't think I would actually go through this with the whole thing, but here we are. Okay, so after animating, we need to finish the whole surrounding and environment thing. So yeah, today we will be doing the airship, or the Death Rogumer as it is named, I believe. So it's the original airship from the game that I actually built my own version of it, as is it's crashed down, and I will be focusing this video on creating this. So we have it blocked out, just some cubes, and now it will be the final thing. We put some textures on it, and we will actually model it properly. So I would say, here we go. All right. So again, the start of it all is sketching it out. What do I want to have? So I have the rough sketch right now, and put the mic a little bit closer. So but now it's about refining the whole thing, so making it a little bit more realistic, adding details, and defining how it will look like properly. So yeah, as you see, I'm just taking the rough sketch and just adding more details, more ideas, what kind of damage it has suffered, and how those parts will look like. By the way, if you want to see the final thing, check out the video, of course, the final video. And yeah, as we see, so I'm adding some details. I will say that a lot probably in the whole video, adding details. But that's basically what it is. You have a rough model, and you're refining it, and you're adding more stuff to it. You're defining its features a little bit more clearly, and that's what I'm basically doing in this sketching process, to defining, okay, what parts will look like, how, and what's the damage, where will it be damaged, and how. It's not very physically accurate, but it was just some fun ideas that I wanted to try it out. So as you see, and for the beak, or the part in the front, it's broken because of the impact. The wings are very distorted because also of the impact, and some pieces fell apart. So you see the big eye, that's actually the giant piece of the original thing. It just fell off, and it's sitting next to it. The whole ship ripped into halves, basically, almost like the Titanic, and you can see the inside the inside of the ship. So I have to actually figure out what to put in there. So that's one big thing. I figured there will be some mechanical parts. There is no lounge or anything fancy. It's mostly just to make it work. So mechanical parts, engine parts, stuff like that. And yeah, when I finish the sketch, I put it on another screen. It's not visible here, but now I'm taking those pieces that I already put in there, and I'm modeling them according to my to my sketch. So here it's like a engine part that I'm just distorting a little bit. There's the big eye thing. I'm not sure what it is actually. I think in the Mega Man world, those machines also have a personality. So they often have big eyes or a mouth, and I think it's the machine also, or the airship has a personality. It's also a robot, basically, just in the form of a flying ship, and that's basically its eye. And I'm making it like a glass shaped eye. So you see, adding again details. I did a little lighting test there, and yeah, I'm just basically replacing those blocky parts with more refined ones, or I'm remodeling the already existing parts. Yeah, I'm putting some ridges in there, also then some small bolts to make it look like it's like bolted together of separate pieces. The bridge, I didn't really put much effort into that. I forgot to put something in there, so it's completely hollow and empty. But I think in the final video, it's not very visible, so I think it's fine. Nobody noticed it. Maybe someone noticed but didn't tell me, so it's fine. Yeah, and they're already aligning the top part with the animation, because the animation is pretty much set at that point. I didn't want to move it along, so now I had to figure out how to place the final piece of the airship there. So I'm aligning it to the placement of the hand and of his arm cannon and his whole movement. So you see it's I'm putting like dents in there to align the hand with the actual surface, also with his knees and his legs. And because it's a wreck, it doesn't really matter how I distort it, because it's damaged. So it doesn't really matter if I put dents or any parts in there that don't actually look very straight or aligned. It doesn't really matter at this point. So that was very fortunate for me. And yeah, as you see, so I'm putting more like irregularities into the mesh, so that everything aligns with his hands and it doesn't go through it. Also, that's the part that I also mentioned in the last video, where I distorted the actual hull and the parts of the ship with his hands, because he has so much force behind the hit that it deforms the airship. So that's what's happening here. And I'm animating also the deformation with his hands. When he's moving his hand, he kind of scratches the surface a little bit. So yeah, that's what's happening here. It's basically this part is also an animation part, but I wanted to leave it there because it's also part of the whole modeling. It's basically one part modeling, one part animation. So yeah, there you see it. But overall, let's get back to the modeling part. So this is a whole modeling video. So again, yeah, as I have the sketch, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So again, I say it in every video: if you want to model something complicated, do a sketch first, or at least just a rough ideas that you don't guess while modeling, and you think every time, okay, what should I do next? What should I do next? That you have a certain plan beforehand. That's really, really helpful. I can definitely recommend it doing it this way. Yeah, so now I'm extracting some parts of the eye and putting it behind the eye, so that it looks like it has layers of rings, like a clock maybe. And now I'm creating the inner part. So I extruded the side inwards, so there's like a hollow room. Also some rib parts around the crevice. And I'm basically now creating those parts that are also in the original design. Those small sides that Mega Man is actually walking on to get to Storm Eagle. Yeah, and just making some little like air vents, I would call them, because I always have to interpret the comical version and the sketch into the real world. So I have to always think, okay, this is in comic, there are some lines. What would that be in the real world? I thought, okay, that's maybe some ventilation or some air inflow part. So if there are some lines, I think, okay, what could it be next? And I always try to first model it according to the real thing, and then I basically put my own spin on it additionally. So that's my process basically. First build it as it is, as faithful as it is, and then add my own little details or interpretations into the whole thing. Yeah, so these are the side cannons. These were pretty fun to make because they look very cool in the end. They are not that much visible in the final video, but it was fun making them. I learned a few cool techniques building them, so that was fun. And yeah, so I just took the picture of the original thing, and I just imitated everything, but in 3D space, and that was pretty cool because I had a certain plan for those. That was very fun. So I didn't really need to guess a lot. Yeah, also putting some stuff in there. That was just okay. A little ventilation shaft. That would be fun. Here, those parts actually. When you saw the pipe, these are some assets that I used from Ian Hubert. On his Patreon, he shares a lot of his assets. So that was super helpful with using like already modeled engine parts or textures and pipes, especially. Use a lot of pipes of his sets. So if Ian's watching, thank you very much. I really enjoyed using your stuff. So yeah, if you want to have some really cool assets, I can definitely recommend the Patreon of Ian Hubert. They're like $7 a month, so it's really super cheap for what you get in return. Also his videos where he explains a lot of his techniques, like an idol for me. So yeah, there's more pipes of his that I actually like try to use for my stuff. So I sometimes I just use them as they are. Sometimes I bend them accordingly to my model. Yeah, but they helped a lot. They are very detailed. Sometimes the textures are super cool. So that was really fun. And yeah, I also used my own textures, also some images that I took around the city here. If you want cool realistic textures, I definitely recommend just going around your own town or city. There are always some buildings or machines or other parts that you can just photograph, and you can use them in your projects. That's really cool, and you can have very realistic results very fast if you know how to use those materials. Yeah, for the glass couple, I actually used the glass from my octopus video. There are also like these glass domes. I used one of those materials because that was very cool. I made that also myself. Yeah, and also pipes, more pipes, putting them in there. Making some connections always good. It's sometimes very difficult to just put the pipe through the mesh and that's it. It's always helpful to have a little connection part where they intersect, so it doesn't look like they're just going inside it and that's it. To have a little ring maybe around it, something like this, that's always helpful. Yeah, these are actually some parts that are also in the game where you walk past them, and I didn't know what they were. They're just little blue glowy things, so I figured, okay, these are some kind of reactors maybe, the power source maybe for the ship. And also the little door I created there previously, that was the door that you go through when entering his final stage. Yeah, the fin in the end, I think I damaged it in the end, I'm not sure, I broke it up. Also a little ladder, that's the ladder that you climb up when entering his like arena. And also adding more damaged or ripped parts for the front part. So that's where they were together, and I just tried to deform it randomly, put some like bendy metal parts. Yeah, I think that worked out pretty well. It worked for what I was trying to achieve. Yeah, here I'm texturing the whole thing. So I'm using parts of jet engines and other stuff. You can find a ton of reference material also for textures a lot on the internet. There are some very cool sites like texture.com. There are many free sites, and you can use like Unsplash or Pixabay or Pexels. These I use also often. If you just Google or search for machine parts, engines, that really helps. This one I actually made procedurally because I needed a lot of a high resolution for the whole thing. So it had to work even in close-up, but also from far away. So it would be the massive texture that would take up half of my memory just for this one thing. So it had to be procedural. But I used a similar one as for his chest. So that's a similar approach with rusty metal and scratch metal. Also for this one the same. I think I used the same one actually. Yeah, but it changed over time a little bit here and there. Yes, again, like metallic textures, they worked very well. There will come a part where you see how I arrange my textures before I use them. So it's a very handy process to prepare your textures before you actually slap them onto your onto your model. Well, we will get to that. Okay, so first test renders already good. The lighting helps a lot. And yeah, there you see that's one texture also from Ian Hubert that he's using a lot, and this is really cool. You just take a piece of your model and you unwrap it onto a certain piece of your texture, and it works super well, as you see in there. I already also recolored it a little bit, but you just need images of metal. You put your UV map onto it, just align pieces here and there, and then so you can create very like mechanical looking pieces that actually work pretty well. So you can see right there, just aligning those parts here and there. And here you have it. So I took some pictures. There's also a Google photo album that someone shared online. There's full of references, so something like this, and I just align them. Sometimes I cut out pieces and make them flat, so it's easier to use them as textures, but there's no perspective in them. And then they're ready to use. So there you see the parts like from trains, big machinery like excavators or bulldozers maybe. There are metal parts, there are rusty parts. Trains are perfect for machines like that. So you see there, I took some flat parts of a train and used it over and over again. You get a lot of mileage of textures like this. There was some After Effects. I'm not sure what that was. And yeah, as you see, this is the complaint train part basically. I saw in the original thing, okay, it's yellow, so I have a yellow train, and I just used those parts. I slapped them on there, and where the texture had details, I actually changed the geometry at that part, so to give it a little bit more depth and more realism. So if your texture has some lines in there, go ahead and take your model and your mesh and also add some details in there, some additional geometry to enhance the whole look of it. On the top you see there are some like machine parts, and just take the UV and the map and just align it accordingly. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here right now. So I'm taking some textures, some perspective parts. I cut them out, make them flat in Photoshop, and make small texture collections, so that you don't have like 50 different textures. You have maybe 10, but they are pretty big, but they are made of small texture parts. that look similar. I didn't really think of putting very similar texture in one collection. I just put them together like metal, trains. I categorize them rather on the subject and not how they look. For next time, I would definitely put similar textures together in one collection. But then you have one big like canvas with different parts. You put it inside a Blender, and then you can use the same texture, so you save a lot of memory, but you can use different parts for different objects. So that's very, very handy. And it's very intuitive and very fast, so that's pretty cool actually. I see like some engine parts. That's the same engine part actually that I used also for the jetpack for Storm Eagle. Yeah, those machine parts I used over and over again. So you see, I made them flat, and then when I unwrap something, I just put it on this part, and it will have this texture then. This is not a tutorial. I think I'm just glossing over the whole process a little bit, but there are a lot of tutorials where you can see how this works. But I hope just the time lapse gives you already an idea of how the process actually looks like. Yes, I see it. I put the texture on, and I see, okay, the texture has some lines here and there or some holes. I extrude those then again to add some geometry. Plus the texture has already different shading that together works very well to create some realism. Yeah, so these are the parts that basically are visible when the ship ripped apart. Yeah, also the engine at the end, I used I'm not sure what kind of texture this was. I think these are actually like jet, like fighter jet parts, plus lockers, plus like some weird like electrical boxes with some vents. So I use those a lot for the wings and for the jet engine of this airship at the back. See, just this one texture, and you have those little bolts also already on the texture. So if it's far away, it's more than enough. You don't actually need geometry for that. It helps, but it's not always necessary. Yeah, for this one I aligned all the metal plates. That's a really cool part. This red one of a train, it has actually like separate metal plates. This adds more detail to the whole ship rather than modeling separate parts. You just use the texture for that. And again, if it's not visible properly, maybe in a shadow or just in one sequence on the side, then it doesn't really matter, at least for me. You save a lot of time with it. And again, the train texture really helped me a lot with the model. I could use it over and over again. I could recolor it in Blender, so that was also a fun part. Yeah, and I'm putting some metal texture onto the fin, and now I'm adding damaged parts. Yeah. First, I wanted to have it like broken, but in the end, I figured, okay, let's leave it like this. So yeah, some test animations with textures. It's always good to make a little test render of animations, and also, yeah, to see what the progress is. Also, there you see it, a fighter jet. I just took some parts of him because they were really cool, like worn out metal plates, so I took those and used them. That's basically a part of a crane that I used as a template for this ripped part where there are like beams that are broken off, but they still have structure. So I took this as a template, and I used the grid. I think it's the grid modifier, I'm not sure how it's called, that actually makes a grid out of your geometry. And again, I created this texture that has some metal with some rust on it, some paint, some ridges, some small details here and there. It almost looks like concrete, but it's actually metal. And I used it for the whole inner part because it didn't really have to look super detailed, but it helps a lot to put like something in there. So yeah, it was really good. And then again, adding more and more assets, and I think these are also from some of Unubit's files that I found very fitting. Some little boxes, some air conditioning, pipes again over and over gone. These are, I'm not really sure what those are. Some little electrical devices, I think. They are just standing outside of houses, so these were very cool. I use them a lot also for the airport. In the next, I think the next episode will be the airport. We'll see. Yeah, so I just put them basically randomly in there because it's just for the one sequence and then in the background, but there will also be smoke in between, so it's barely visible, but just for the believability, it was really cool. Again, putting some detailed textures in there and then extruding all those parts. And the fun thing is that it can also be crooked and very bent and not super aligned because it's broken. So it's fun to create damaged things because it's much easier. You don't have to be so thorough. Yeah, here I'm creating a custom HDRI because the sun didn't really was the way I was hoping for. So in the end I combined actually I think 2 HDRIs together to have the effect that I wanted. I wanted to have the sun in a certain spot and the shadows falling a certain direction, but also wanted to have a certain color. So in the end I took the sky texture from Blender and I combined it within custom HDRI. Here again, those little reactor things, I thought, okay, it would be cool to make them a little bit glowy and with a, what is it? I think it's a Voronoi texture. Yeah, it looked a little bit more interesting. So yeah, here I also decided to extrude those bolts just to give a little bit more detail. And these are also some assets that I found, I think, on Gumroad from, I'm not sure who this was. I will put the link in the description, I hope, where I got those, because these were free, I think, and they really helped me out to add more detail to the ship. So thank you very much, whoever this was. I will put the link down there. I think in my video, the Storm Eagle video, I put the link there, so I will copy it. So this should be fine. Yeah, put also my textures on top of those to have them a little bit more fit better with the overall ship. Yeah, so here I'm just putting some cables and pipes on top of it to not have it just like a smooth surface, but actually like some mechanical parts sticking out there. Yeah, and I knew I wanted to have some fire and some sparks next to Storm Eagle when he's climbing out. So I decided to make a little big, like a like a hole next to him where there's fire coming out and some sparks flying. So when the camera is focusing on him, there's a reason for sparks being next to the camera or an out of focus very close to the camera. But I didn't just want to add them like in post. I wanted to be a reason for fire and sparks next to him. So I just put a big like a rift into the ship, and there will be fire coming out later on. And also adding some more details to, like, I don't know what these are, like generators, engine parts. You see again, I take the same texture again and just use the parts on different parts of the mesh. Yeah, so again, HDRI, checking if it works. I think in the end I changed it a little bit more even. Yeah, added some color. That was just a test. I think I didn't use it like that in the end. But yeah, so far that's pretty much it, I think. So these are some lighting tests if everything looks good. And it looked good in the end. So there you have it. That was the ship. Are we done? Not yet. Now we're done. So yeah, that was modeling the ship. I hope you like it. Next time we will be doing the whole airport. That was a lot of work. I'm not sure if this will be 1 or 2 parts. You'll see, but so far, yeah, hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe if you are interested in my work and you want to see more of this. You can also follow me on my other channels. I think on Instagram I'm mostly active, and on Twitter. And if you have any suggestions or comments or what I could do better or worse, then please leave them down below. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.